This is another 4-player fixed card game which is being played with my subscribers. All of them are Grandmasters. And surprise surprise, but this time it is me who got the most promising position on the board. I've got South America right away from the beginning of the game, and with that I should become the strongest player who has the biggest chances to successfully end up in the 3-player situation. The good thing for the yellow player is that instead of North America he decided to go for Europe, as if he had gone for North America, then he would have definitely been the player who I would have looked to target, because with these blizzards North America has only 2 borders, so it's extremely valuable, and if I let someone hold it, then that player would have the advantage over me to eventually expand to South America over me expanding to North America, and with that player getting 5 extra troops per turn when I only 2, he could even decide to target and try getting rid of me once he is strong enough, so I wouldn't want to take that risk. So that's a good thing he switched going for Europe. As with that, and with me additionally capturing Africa, we could be in a mutually beneficial alliance with both of us getting 5 extra continental troops each. At least this was my plan before the orange player moved out to Africa, and I couldn't go for it easily anymore, so unless wanting a conflict with orange. And nobody else had captured another continent to potentially help me out dealing with orange, so I decided to rather back off from Africa and intend to be friends with orange, so unless he would get targeted by someone else. But I don't think he would. The black player moved his troops out from Africa, so I assume he intends to be friendly towards orange too, and then for the yellow player as the European player probably wouldn't be a very great idea to get into a conflict with orange as well, with the orange player being the African player, meaning that they both share the most of borders with each other. So I think, after all, it will be the yellow player who gets targeted, with all others being small continent players, so as long as I and the black player show the initiative for the orange player to target him. So by realizing that after all the yellow player would be the most efficient and easiest target to team up on, I decided to help the orange player out and move my troops out from Africa to not bother him anymore, and then in the next turn I moved out my troops from Australia as well, so to help the black player to get a continent as well, and with that we all 3 start getting extra troops to use on the yellow player, who as long as others want to, is definitely not holding Europe. And alright, the yellow player, by realizing that he would be the one to get targeted, invades the orange player into Africa, so to potentially make it 50-50 between him and the orange player to get eliminated as the first player. So now it really depends on me and the black player which player we want to target. And since I started targeting yellow, I think I will stick to it, so unless the black player would start targeting orange, as I think it would be more efficient to team up on just one player rather than both of them at once. So unless I saw a reason for that. But yeah, as you can see, the black player went for the yellow player, so yellow is the one to get targeted and be eliminated next. So unless something strange would happen, but I don't really think so, I mean I and the black player could start attacking each other, but I don't think it would be very efficient, as right now if we team up on one of the players, then we are guaranteed to end up in the 3-player situation, while if we attacked each other, then it would be really unknown. I mean then the orange and yellow players, by seeing that we are in a conflict, could decide to make the alliance with each other, and help either black attacking me, or me attacking black. So personally I'm not looking forward to attack the black player over yellow or orange, especially when the black player has the hardest invadable continent, Australia, with only 1 border to guard, so he would be gaining troops all of the time before he would finally get eliminated. But yeah, the yellow player is the one who gets eliminated. He understands that very well, and probably this is why, because he sent the crying emoji. So poor, very poor player called yellow. His days will be over soon. If we weaken him enough, then he will be eliminated before he even trades in his next set, or if not, then I think he is definitely not surviving before he is able to trade in his second set counting from now. The black player is manual rolling the yellow player, so I might even take out the yellow player right now. Well, actually not, because the black player with his 7 troops army is blocking me the way, and then because it wouldn't be worth to take the yellow player out anyway, I probably wouldn't like to do it with the black player being the player who has quite more troops. I think I would end up being the weakest in the 3-player situation, and then it might even be a risk to set up myself to get eliminated next. So by being blocked from yellow anyway, I just went with some manual rolls on him. So anyway, as you can see, the yellow player got lucky to trade in a set at 3 cards, and with that he captured Africa. He got really lucky to survive, and with that we are really struggling to get to the 3-player situation. And alright, with the yellow player crushing some troops of black, the orange player, after trading in a set, decided to go after the black player as well by completely wiping him out from Australia and Asia. And I feel very lucky because it was possible instead of the black player to be me who the orange player decides to hit. But that's just crazy how hilarious it is for the player who is actually the strongest looking to the troops counter to actually get eliminated first. I mean, I'm definitely not leaving the black player alive, as besides me wanting to get to the 3-player situation, he is also a very easy take for me to get 4 cards, and with that to increase my advantage. Now my plan is to end up holding 2 border North America and potentially get a very strong unbreakable position. So since it's yellow's turn after mine, and with both of my opponents not having a set, I wanted to take the black player out without unleashing the yellow player's army towards my Brazilian border, but unfortunately I didn't have a set, and with me not having enough troops to take the black player out without using my Brazilian troops, unfortunately I had to use them and unleash the yellow player's army towards South America. So by realizing that I won't be able to properly guard both of the borders now, I wanted to potentially take the yellow player out if getting good enough manual rolls to weaken him enough, but unfortunately I didn't, so I will get invaded into all of my continents and the situation will be balanced out once again. And that's so unfortunate because I was really close to winning. Good thing the yellow player is taking those manual rolls instead of invading me. But he finally did, invading me into Europe and then surprisingly going next to orange. And whether it's a good move or not, that's really hard to say, because it's unknown whether the orange player in his turn would have fortified his army out from the blocked place, or wouldn't have to let me take the yellow player out while staying blocked, which would have let me end up holding some continents after taking the yellow player out. I mean, the best decision would have been for the yellow player to go straightly invading me into North America, leaving his army there, while for the orange player to fortify his army out from the blocked place next to me. But I mean, if the yellow player hadn't unleashed his army, then it would have been unknown whether the orange player would have actually fortified his army out from Australia or left it blocked in it. But I think either way the yellow player should have relied on the orange player being smart, is because now with both of them having to go through a bunch of each other territories, they're really wasting their troops and giving me the advantage. So I think after all that was a bad move for the yellow player to go next to orange to unleash his army, with the orange player having the turn next and being able to unblock his army be himself, over the yellow player invading me into North America himself. Because you can really see where everything it led both of them. I'm about to really win this game after taking the yellow player out, so one of them should have definitely left their army into North America. And most efficient to do that would have been for the yellow player in that turn when he unleashed the orange player's army in Australia over invading me into North America by himself and leaving this whole army there. Though maybe in overall it wasn't too much of a great idea for the orange player to wipe the black player out from Australia, setting him up for me with 4 cards. But I don't know, it's really complicated to say, and a lot of could depend on the moves by all of the players made afterwards and also on the luck we get. So everything is up to debates. Anyway, as you can see, I'm totally crushing the orange player into 2-player endgame. I'm in lead of everything, troops, territories and cards. So no way for the orange player to make a comeback no matter how hard he would try. And that's a GG. Now I would recommend you watching another fixed card game which was played with my subscribers as well. That's another interesting game with a bunch of strategy and attacks.